President, Chairman in Council, Nigerian Society of Engineers. You're welcome this morning, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. And we have Engineer Dr. Eferebo Silvanus, National Chairman, Nigerian Institution of Marine Engineers and Naval Architect. You're welcome this morning, sir.
Thank you.
It's good to have you both in the studio with us.
Thank you.
Well, definitely, it's a conversation about a lot of untapped potential for Nigeria. And it's been quite interesting looking at that statement first from the presidency and what it looks to birth for Nigeria's economy, especially looking at the engineering side of it. A lot of things looking like they are really, really untapped right there. But then, first and foremost, how would you describe blue economy for the layman, for the average Nigerian out there on the streets? Please.
Okay, I think the blue economy, first and foremost, the creation of the ministry was very strategic and was the right step in the right direction. So, but owing to the fact that that aspect has a lot of potential. I think currently, by research, an economy that is over $200 billion, that's Nigerian blue economy worth. So when you look at the blue economy, basically, we're talking about fisheries, engineering infrastructure, all the economic activity, oil and gas infrastructure, activities that surround this marine environment. We're talking about hospitality, a lot. So it's a whole broad range of activities.
Oh, okay, I think...
Should want to add something to that description?
Yes, so he has described it very aptly. And I would just say that it's all in line with the renewed hope agenda of the president. And it aligns perfectly with the aspirations of the Nigerian Society of Engineers to key into untapped, areas and ventures. So we quickly, took a hint from that and set for ourselves the task of discussing the blue economy in a very wholly and distinctive manner at our conference, which is our flagship event. Okay. So that's why this year we are going to be discussing sustainable engineering for blue economy.
All right, we'll delve deeper into all of this, but first we have to pay some commercial bills and then we'll be right back. We have to make some money.
Of course.
All right, keep it locked on right here.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. Yes, we are still having that conversation. And of course, in case you have not been with us in the last few minutes, we're talking about engineering innovation and Nigeria's blue economy. And we have two very beautiful guests, I would say, joining us on the show this morning to discuss it. And we're progressing with that question. How key is engineering innovation? How central is it to what we're trying to achieve with the blue economy? I think I'll start with you this time.
All right. So it's very central because we all know that engineering is the bedrock of development. And you can't talk about anything, particularly when it has to do with growth and economic growth in particular, without engineering. So engineering innovation would include things like, areas where the engineers can come in to improve the sector. And we'll look at artificial intelligence, for instance. We'll look at Internet of Things, which you can use, so that we can use sensors, for oceanic activities and stuff. We'll look at marine infrastructure, So when you talk about infrastructure, it's also engineering. So it's very key to marine infrastructure. And then renewable energy. Solar, winds, we have the tidal energy, yes, and then the windmills, offshore windmills and all of that. And it's all engineering. So those are engineering innovations that are very key to the development of the...
Okay, I would want to come to Dr. Silvanus now. I want you to talk regarding the marine sector now, looking at innovation, how engineering, innovation, and the new technology, how have you been able to apply it to our marine sector?
Okay, what our president has just said, one of the key reasons for this conference is to provide a platform for national dialogue. And as a country, we are not yet at the place we want to go to. Yeah, so the innovation we talk about, like she mentioned, Internet of Things. We have smart spot technologies. We have softwares, cutting-edge tools for digital twin technology application to engineering designs and all that. And these areas are multi-billion-dollar worth of economic worth, right? So there are many areas, the government and the private sector and the professional society can actually collaborate to ensure that we tap into this economic value.
Okay.
And that is what the conference is going to be addressing, to provide a platform for national dialogue. At the end of the day, we expect actionable communique to be out so that the government can use as for policy.
Okay, let's go back to blue economy now. And I want you to speak specifically about Nigeria's blue economy. What is the current state of our blue economy?
Yeah, like the current state of the blue economy, like we say, we are not yet there yet, right? And the president has done a very good job by starting up with the ministry. So from this discussion that we'll be having in the conference, we'll set a platform for the first time. And I think we are currently leading in Africa to have this ministry. So the sector is still very broad because we have regulatory concerns, we have policy aspect, we also have the innovative aspect. So we don't yet have an enabling environment where stakeholders will converge to discuss and chart a proper roadmap, right? And this is what the NSE is about to do in this current conference. And Ibadan is very privileged to be hosting such strategic event coming December.
All right, now, I would like to ask, because at this point I'm sure that a lot of people out there are curious, how does this help them? How many people really do understand the nitty-gritty, the basics, first and foremost, of the blue economy and what it actually implies? Now, how do you explain to Nigerians that this is what we need? Because we cannot just rely on petroleum alone and all of those other things. We need to also tap into something that will help us into the future.
Talking about diversifying, that's the essence of creating the ministry.
The most a lot of people have seen about, tapping renewable energy, like you said, is from those movies. So, I don't want to mention the name now, where we have, those foreign movies coming and then they see, those science fiction movies and they think, okay, is this it? But then how do we get Nigerians to really understand the basics of this and how they can also be involved?
Okay. So for the average Nigerian, I would say that we can look at areas like fishery. That's the very major part of the blue economy, aspect of the blue economy. A lot of people don't understand the fact that if the nation concentrates on even fishery, we can make a lot of money, other than outside like you said, oil and gas, like we have been concentrating on. There is tourism.
Tourism?
Yeah. Also, when you travel to other countries like Singapore, Dubai, you spend a lot of money, going around their creeks on the water. So that's a lot of untapped potential for us here. But here, what we do is to even drive the ocean further and build houses. So it's one area that we might want to look at.
So now, how are we making sure to stop, just like you said now, driving the ocean backward, and eventually it fights back.
Yes, it
does.
does.
That's when we talk about flooding and the likes. But how are you, or what is your association doing to make sure we fight that back and stop it, stop people from building houses, on the banks of the ocean, or even pushing the water backwards? What are you doing to stop it?
Well, we are engaging government, engaging other stakeholders, and talking to the citizenry. And that's why we felt that we needed to make the conversation a bit bigger, bring everybody together and talk to them, so that when we have that discussion, then we would be able to chart a way forward and the correct path towards a sustainable blue economy. In the meantime, what we do is it's the national chairman of an institution which is a division of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and they specialize on marine. So we have a lot of advocacy, plans for advocacy, to talk to people, to engage them, and tell them areas where they can. In fact, there are a lot of ways that you can even invest, in the blue economy. People don't know, and we are ready to educate the citizenry.
Okay, now, what you just said got me curious. And I remember earlier you mentioned tourism and then creeks. And this is where I'm going to actually go back to Engineer Dr. Sylvanus. Creeks, Nigeria. The first thing that comes to people's head is militants, amongst other things. And that means security challenges. How do we solve these? You know, you are the president, the national chairman, beg your pardon, of the Nigerian Institution of Marine Engineers and Naval Architects. And I know you have encountered some of those challenges over time, but how do you handle this? And how do you further work on these issues to ensure that you rise above those challenges and build that innovation to a state where the blue economy becomes a lot more sustainable? Because I know it's not the only one, but I think it's the major one, especially concerning our waters, especially in the South-South.
Yeah. I think for now, the conversation has really drifted away from marine security, relatively, because we can see from the oil production that that aspect has really calmed down, because government is really doing a lot to quell that sector. But yeah, we cannot totally overrule maritime security. However, with recent events, a lot of activities are already coming up, even in Lagos State. I think there is a program that they're about to initiate in this, the first time in Africa, boat raising, boat raising. And there are also some projects like the last one is also trying to do some projects on developing the inland waters. Recently, we just conducted spectral analysis of Lagos inland waterways to look at the impact the waves will have for ferries that will be moving on that sector. So all these are, muzzled into that blue economy. Blue economy is really broad because there are direct jobs that it can create, there are indirect jobs that it can also create. If you go to deep sea port now, Lekki deep sea port, there are people who are around there just to be trading because of the activities that are going on. So indirectly, they are benefiting from the value chain of the activities that are happening in the deep sea port. So that is to tell you how, when we expand our, the blue economy, stretch it down, utilizing all our waterways. In fact, there used to be an old saying that there is no city that is sited by the bank of the ocean that is should be poor, right? So if you look at shipping activities, we have, for instance, in Vietnam, they have a shipyard. They have a lot of shipyards. Most of the Western countries go there, design their vessels in their country, go there to build. Now, if you take your vessels, you want to go and build there, right, LNG vessels, you may not even have the opportunity to secure a shipyard till 2030. That's to say all those shipyards are all occupied, with projects. So who are the beneficiaries of the project? The indigenous, the citizens of that place, right? So if we fix our infrastructure very well, right, it means that the Western world can also, because of our moderate labor cost, because labor cost alone constitutes to almost about 30 to 40% of the entire ship construction cost. So it means that we have those sustainable infrastructure here. It can attract direct foreign investment, right? And then the Western world can come and build their vessels. So it will create, there will be knowledge sharing, there will be transfer of technology, there will be building of capacity. So this whole thing, engineering is like the bedrock of innovation. So we cannot isolate engineering if we want to advance in blue economy.
We cannot rule that out, obviously, but let's also look at the people now and how the people have been able to receive this. For the past 2 years, this ministry has been established. You would agree with me that there are communities in Nigeria, and this is me talking to the aspect of tourism now, like you said earlier, relating it to, not really relating it, but giving Dubai as an example. We all see videos, we all see, go online, check some of these countries and how they are being maintained. But let's bring it home, talking of pollution now. There are communities in Nigeria whose, or who they think the best way to dispose refuse is by throwing into the waterways. They dump everything and anything into the waterways. How do you address that? Looking at how we can make our blue economy a tourist site, a tourist attraction for, foreigners coming into Nigeria. I think I should allow
Well, it's a matter of educating the citizens. Um, in the end, we are all human. And in countries where things like that don't happen, it's not because they don't want to do it. It's because there are policies on ground, and then there is punishment for offense, so to speak. So unless the policies around maintaining and sustaining our creeks, our waterways are implemented, then we will continue to have the issues that we have raised. So it's a matter of just educating the people and expecting them to change their mindset.
But you would agree that the government cannot do this?
No, the government alone cannot. The government can. It is the government's.
It's the government's responsibility,
Exactly.
but the government alone cannot do this.
So government alone cannot do it.
How have you been able to ensure that you mobilize people? But before you answer that question, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Before we went on that break, Engineer Oguntala was talking about, we're talking about enforcement and sensitizing the people and letting them know how to behave around the water, things to do, things not to do. I will talk also mentioning that it's not the sole, response. It shouldn't lie on the laps of the government alone. Now, how have you been able to make sure sensitization is being done to people, especially those living around the waterways, to let them understand everything and anything cannot be dumped into the water?
Thank you. So what we have done as the Nigerian Society of Engineers is to engage stakeholders and engage the citizens. And we have, let me just mention that we have 91 branches of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, 6 in the diaspora. So of the 85 that are here, they are charged with the responsibility of impacting the immediate environment. So the Lagos branch, in Lagos alone, we have 5 branches. And they have had, this year alone, because preparing towards the bigger conversation, they have had events where they engaged people and discussed this matter. And and telling them, the citizens, why we need to have a healthy ocean. So it's a conversation that we've been having. We've been engaging people at the grassroots. So it's the Nigerian Society of Engineers has been playing its own role. We just expect that enforcement lies with government. So we need government to enforce all these rules and regulations. And then we would, at our level as a professional body, ensure that we support government in that drive.
All right. Now, I have a question that goes for both of you now. Do you think that at this stage, we have the infrastructure that can handle this whole thing and take that innovation to the next level? Do you think that infrastructurally we are ready as a nation right now? Do you think that we'll not have cogs in the wheel, things like that affecting us? I think I'll start with you first before.
Well, the reason for setting up the ministry is to ensure that we do have the infrastructure. So you can't start from the top. So we do not have the infrastructure yet. And he has said that already, that we don't have yet. And that's why with the setting up of that ministry and with the conversations that we're going to have, and then training, because he has also mentioned one of the benefits of the blue economy. We're going to have the opportunity for technology transfer, knowledge sharing, and all of that, and then building the capacity of indigenous engineers to be able to build the infrastructure.
But so far in 2 years, what exactly have we done in the space of 2 years since the setting up of this ministry? What has been done? Because you said we do not have the infrastructure yet, but something must have been done within the space of 2 years to say, oh, okay, this ministry is going to make progress, or giving an estimate of 10 years, these are the things we want to establish. So given 10 years, 2 years is away, 2 years is out of it. What have been done and what are we looking forward to? Please go ahead, Doctor.
Okay, I think at the level of the NSE, we are a division under NSE, and we strategically, ours is to, advocate. And recently, I've just came in from Singapore, because if we have to also advance, we must learn from the very best. Singapore currently is the hub of maritime, right? And one of the reasons for that engagement was to see how we can be able to collaborate and have a gateway of exchange of knowledge and ideas to see how we can both collaborate to advance this sector. So we may not be able to answer on the part of the government because we are a professional society. We can only work, within the scope of our mandate, right? And that's what we are doing. Engage professionals, start up the conversation. At the end of the conversation, there should be actionable point that should
But we
be
will
transmitted.
think that there should be a synergy between the government and
of course, there is.
exactly.
So there is. Now, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy has accepted to be keynote speaker at the conference, where we are going to have this conversation. And I'm sure that he's already preparing what he's going to tell the people. Because the keynote address, it will address the entire economy, its entire ministry. And then it's like we have tailored our conference towards his ministry. So he will come there and tell us what the government has done since the setting up of his ministry. So, and I'm sure that you would want to attend so that you can hear firsthand.
Doctor.
Let me now go on to the spotlights on the space and the talent identification, because now we're talking about the human capital that we need for this. It's part of the resources, the engineers, the researchers, and that as a professional body, you believe that your members are ready. But then let's talk about those that should be supporting the cause, because it's a long-term projection now for Nigeria. And we'll be looking at the technical institutions, the universities, those departments, the professors. What will they now be teaching those students? Because before it used to be a different kind of teaching for them in the colleges, in the universities, and all of that. So what do you believe will be the much needed changes in this area, the universities, in the education sector, the technical institutions? How do we engineer a different development so that we would have, in the next 5, 7, 8 years, we would have people who are ready to join into that space and add their own quota?
Okay, I'm going to allow him to answer that in depth, but I'll just mention that we have the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, which the Nigerian Society of Engineers is collaborating with on the syllabus, because we have to start with the syllabus of the tertiary institutions to ensure that it aligns with the blue economy and the maritime sector. So the current is already looking at how to strengthen the syllabus to support the maritime industry. And then we are also in the process of even getting the National Assembly to for regulatory, yes, so that we can engage the institution for regulatory work, to regulate the institutions, the tertiary institutions, such that we will ensure that at the end of the day, the products of those institutions are ready to be engaged in the sector. But I'm sure that we'll be able to throw more light on that.
So I think what Madam President have just said is that the Koren and the FNSE are two inseparable entities, right? And currently, Koren regulates the educational sector that has to do with engineering. And there is this outcome-based education that they've just implemented. And most of the Koren members who go for the regulatory accreditations are FNSE members, right? So what they have done is that there should be an industry academic collaboration. So they've mandated that most of the academic institutions have in their board industry players. So at every level, there must be industry players. Even in recent professional examination interviews, they have industry key players. That's to bring that flavor of the industry and academic to bridge that gap. Now, at the end of the day, we expect that solutions that are being developed in the academic institutions should be scaled out, all right, through an acceleration programs and incubation centers, to be able to scale up for commercial purpose outside that. Directly addresses our challenges in this sector.
All right, Doctor, I want us to talk to the issue of technology now and innovation, regarding our blue economy. How sustainable is the blue economy in Nigeria, given to the fact that we see the security challenge we're having in Nigeria, and it has also pointed out to the fact that technology would go a long way in solving this challenge, but we are not there yet. And now we are setting up a new ministry, a new way of diversifying our income in Nigeria. How do you think we can harness or, you know, appreciate, embrace technology in making the blue economy sustainable in Nigeria?
Okay, I think right now, we're already utilizing technology. Like our president mentioned earlier, the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. There are a lot of aspects. For instance, let me just give you a practical example. You can't conduct a comprehensive engineering design without implementing technology, cutting-edge tools at some point. Some things that ordinarily would take you years to do, now will take you minutes, right? Because of some of these tools. So he said something earlier in this conversation, how do we get some talents? So, and that's the reason why these centers, center of excellence, you know, that are being created in the institutions in collaboration with the professional institution, will be able to harness talent, young talents, you know, not necessarily.
So far, what has the engineering institution been able to, what innovation have you provided in terms of these ministries so far?
In terms of this ministry, like what we say, FNSE is supporting capacity building, R&D related programs, right? I think some months ago at the National Engineering Building, data analytics programs were taken, you know, were conducted, and a lot of participants. So in this area, you know, these are areas that critically addresses R&D related, you know, activities in this sector. So it has to be a constant evolving process. It's not just absolute, right?
Right. Because of our time.
As parting shots, please. What would you like Nigerians to know about this as a parting shot shortly?
What I would like Nigerians to know is that we can diversify, really. We can, with the correct use of the ocean, of the blue economy. Let me just use the word blue economy again. We can indeed increase the capacity of Nigeria in terms of economic capacity, in terms of professional capacity, you know, of indigenous engineers in particular, and then the prosperity of the nation would definitely increase.
And lastly, in 30 seconds, Doctor, what should we be expecting from this ministry, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years? What significant improvement should we say we would see?
A lot of, in terms of capacity, in terms of real-time infrastructural development and direct foreign investment. The ocean has what it takes to eliminate our job unemployment crisis in this country, if it's fully harnessed.
All right, thank you very much. Engineer Margaret Oguntala, the President, Chairman in Council, Nigeria Society of Engineers, and Engineer Dr. Eferebo Sylvanus, National Chairman, Nigerian Institution of Marine Engineers and Naval Architects. We really appreciate your input, and of course, thank you very much for talking to the topic, engineering innovation and Nigeria's blue economy. Of course, they came with other people, but because of space and of course, because of our time, we cannot entertain all of them. We have Engineer Dr. Felicia, Engineer Dauda Musa, we have Engineer Mutiu or Desonya, Engineer Ibrahim Folanri, the immediate past chairman, Engineer Victor Gunranti, who is the Vice Chairman, NSE Ibadan Branch, Mr. Aliyu Abdul Kadri, Director of Corporate Services, NLC, Engineer Olayinka Ali, Engineer Ismail Ogunlade, NSE General Secretary, NSE Ibadan Branch, and Engineer Ajiboye Olushola, Membership Secretary, NSE Oluyole Branch. We really appreciate you all for coming into the studio to talk about the issue of blue economy and, of course, how we can diversify Nigeria's economy. Thank you very much, ma'am and sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after this break. Please stay with us.